Okay, we are live.
Oh boy.
All right.
We're here.
What's
And
happening?
oh boy, what a day, what a day. A day that calls for some nice Italian malt whiskey.
What do you got over there?
I got the Puni Nova, straight from Italy.
What is that? Is that a single malt?
It is it's a three-year-old European and American oak aged.
Okay.
Very, very nice. It's very easy. It's deceptively easy to drink.
Cool bottle too.
Yeah, very cool bottle. I'm not sure if we have a picture of it, but I feel like I probably shared it a couple times in some feeds that some people are following. But yeah, definitely needed this today. How about you, Josh?
Right now I tried the Kilkieran 12 that I picked up today earlier. I wanted to not, open it fresh for this. I'll do it another time. But at the moment I have Andalusia Striker, which is
Texas, right?
Yeah. You guys know they're doing the peated barley for Crowded Barrel. So this is their single malt that's hardwood smoked with I think it's apple, oak, and mesquite. Super, super tasty stuff.
How does it compare to the Kilkeegan? Because I know that's mesquite smoked.
Yeah, the Kilkeegan I think is the smoke notes are milder.
Okay.
For sure, because they only do 30% of the barley.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
Tell the people who you are, Vito.
I am Vito. If you didn't know, that is who I am, and I'm very happy to be that today. Brad, what do you have in your glass?
Secrets.
Secrets. Ooh, secrets.
I feel like Brad always has secrets in his glass.
It's true.
All right. So, Josh.
Yeah.
I read the most interesting thing today.
What's that?
I read that global warming is leading to a cause of barley shortages across the world.
That is a damn travesty.
It's horrible.
I almost had a heart attack. I'll be honest.
I mean, barley makes all of the best things: beer, whiskey.
Bread.
Right. I mean, well, sure, bread.
Technically,
it's like beer.
Whiskey.
Whiskey is up here, beer, and then like bread's down on the floor here somewhere. They're having trouble with like lower crop yields and stuff like that. With the extra heat, I guess.
Yeah. All the biggest producers of barley, right? They're always in those high temperature areas,
right?
And now with the added couple degrees, they're losing a lot of crop. So that's
drives up the prices as well.
It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun, not only because of the whiskey, but because of everything else that it'll affect. But this is something big that I feel like might be overlooked in a lot of cases when it comes to global warming, which we're not going to get into. But it's something just to keep in mind. It's something that we should also be prepared for.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember like whiskey is a natural product, right? With made with natural grains and all of that. So if farmers have a problem, then whiskey has a problem. Yeah, that's not fun. But what is fun is we have all heard of the whiskey vault, right?
Absolutely, we have.
We all know about that. Brad, we had a link to this. The whiskey vault.
You're talking about this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
This vault here.
Yeah, you can get your very own whiskey vault from a startup in I think it was Taiwan. Yeah,
Taiwan. The guy was living there for I think I remember hearing it was 24 years he was there as a cabinet maker, something along those lines.
Something like 23 years working in the manufacturing industry before he designed, developed, and built the whiskey vault.
It's a really cool looking piece, though. So honestly, like if I had six grand lying around, I'd buy it. Just my own whiskey vault. Come on,
if you spent $6,000 on a whiskey cabinet, then you better have some whiskey worth putting in it. The thing that drives me crazy about this, it's not fireproof as far as I could tell.
And he's just got it full of Mictors.
Right, and it's full of Mictors at the moment.
Oh, there's a Pappy in the back too.
Yeah. Well, the Pappy definitely needs it. I know someone that would only put Blanton minis in that whiskey vault for safekeepings, and someone that would probably buy this as well.
Yeah,
I think we all know who I'm talking about.
A friend of everybody.
Friend of the show and fictional
so it's not
character.
Fireproof. It doesn't really hold that much. It looks like a giant bank vault. The glass in the front is bulletproof, so nobody can actually, shoot the front of it out and steal your whiskey that way. But it basically is a $6,000 cabinet meant to keep your asshole friends from drinking your whiskey. Is basically the best I can tell.
We all have those friends, though. So
we do.
The mooches of the world.
Brad's gonna get one just to protect all of his Ardbeg from me next time I'm over.
Maybe the anti-veto security vault.
Oh man.
Yeah, so if you got $6,000 to spare and you want to order one of these straight from Taiwan, then there you go. It kind of looks like it has wheels on the bottom too. So if you have like a gigantic, heavy bank vault style whiskey cabinet, I don't know if you just want it to like roll out of there easily. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe those aren't wheels, but
maybe they're anchors.
Hopefully,
probably not. They're probably wheels. It's not fireproof. Every safe I've ever come across is fireproof.
Right.
If the safe's not even fireproof, having wheels wouldn't surprise me whatsoever.
And the thing, it's 308 pounds. That seems excessive, but
that's more than 2 me's.
Bit excessive.
You're so wee, Vito.
I'm gonna change my middle name to the Wee Italian.
The Wee Italian. So yeah, I guess I don't think I'll be getting one of those anytime soon. I don't know about you guys.
If I hit the lottery, for sure, just for the sake of having one.
Yeah, I mean, I know this looks real fancy behind me here, but this came from IKEA, so.
I think I'll probably have to skip the bulletproof vault, but we'll see. I am building a mini vault in the new house, so bulletproof features might be handy for some reason.
What kind of features do you have in mind for the new house vault?
Well, it's definitely going to be behind a bookcase because I'm cheesy.
Yes.
But other than that, I'm not sure exactly. I mean, it's not going to be super fancy. I'm not a crazy secret billionaire, but it'll be nice.
All right. Well,
keeping with what we were talking about last week. I know we talked about this a couple of days ago, Josh. The Sherry Festival, International Sherry Festival last week that the Tamdu and a bunch of other Spanish producers were celebrating.
Right.
I had mentioned, and I got a little bit of heat from it. Not heat, but like a couple of people were like, don't mention Monkey Shoulder again. I like Monkey Shoulder, but I was thinking about it. And we came across something, an article that was saying that blended whiskey is better Scotch.
Right. It's the new Chivas Regal campaign.
Yeah.
That what did it say? It
says malt's good, grains great, blends better.
Okay. Well, I mean, so what do you think about blends? When you think blended whiskey, what do you think?
I don't like, because the way I was introduced into whiskey. I went into most whiskeys fairly blind. So I didn't really care if it was blended or single malt. I didn't really hold anything to a certain standard. And I sort of still, to this day, kind of carry that mentality, like, because I've come across some really nice blends.
Absolutely.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah.
So and stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think would be good. Right. So I'll always try the blend. I wouldn't say that they're better or worse. Right. Like, because I really like Monkey Shoulder. I don't know about a lot of other people, but I that's a blended space side. And I think it's lovely, easy to drink, great in cocktails. It's all around really nice. But yeah, like I just don't hold any contempt towards blends unless I try it and it really isn't that good.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I think about Monkey Shoulder, since it gets brought up so much, is it's fine. Yeah. It tastes fine, right? Agreed. It's not bad. I think it gets blown up to be this perfect entry point for people, or something like bigger than it is. Their marketing is super clever. They've been driving that gigantic cocktail shaker around the country. You've seen pictures of that, right? It's like a huge trailer with a cocktail shaker on it.
Like a cement mixing truck, but a cocktail
right,
shaker.
Exactly. So that, I mean, that's real cute, and they have the cool bottle with the monkeys on it and everything. But I mean, you want fantastic blends, Compass Box, obviously.
Compass Box
definitely. Some of my favorite whiskeys, full stop, are Compass Box blends.
Absolutely. What's your favorite Compass Box, Brad?
Probably No Name.
No Name.
Probably No
See,
Name.
I haven't had that one yet. It's kind of hard to come by around here anyway.
There's a few good ones though. Hedonism, the Muse, is also really good.
I'd say mine at the moment is probably that Flaming Heart, but that's like
Flaming Heart is amazing.
What about you, Vito?
My experience with Compass Box is fairly limited, and I don't remember drinking. I remember drinking it, but I don't remember tasting it. Brad knows the time that happened.
I don't know what you're talking about, Vito. The time that we got fairly drunk in the middle of the afternoon while you were here and you fell asleep instead of going to a concert. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
Sometimes.
It happens.
But yeah, no, I've had the No Name Muse. I've had Flaming Heart, the 2016 release, I think it was. And I remember the Flaming Heart, and the Flaming Heart was delicious. And I've heard I continuously hear nothing but great things about Compass Box, from all the whiskey review channels and you guys. So I can only assume that you guys aren't lying, because I feel like if you were lying, you guys would be jerks. That's not nice.
That's not nice at all. If you can find it, I don't know if this is even in stores anymore, but I did manage to find one a while ago. They make this cool sampler set of like 5 or 6 Compass Box blends, and they come in little like test tube tasting size, so you can get 2-3 good pours out of it to sample each one. That's absolutely worthwhile. I got to try a whole bunch of the range by buying that, and then find out which ones I thought were good but I didn't really need to have a bottle of it, but and which ones I absolutely had to go buy. So
right.
And even other blends like Johnny Walker, some of the Johnny Walker stuff, like if I go to a bar and they don't have much of a selection, they're probably going to have Johnny Walker Black, so which is something that's doesn't blow my mind or anything like that, but it's fine.
Johnny's all fairly consistent, right? Except for that pesky red label.
Yeah, and I still haven't opened the White Walker. Some people have. I've heard mixed reviews of it. Some people thought it was kind of gross, and then other people really loved it. Obviously, really clever marketing, but
it's a novelty bottle. I've kind of I bought it with mediocre hopes, and a couple of the reviews that I've seen on it have kind of tempered my expectations.
Yeah, same here.
But I have it. I'm a Game of Thrones fan. I'll buy into the marketing a little bit for that. And it's a nice way of pissing off some of my friends that aren't really into whiskey, because I'm going to bring it to the premiere next year.
Sure.
Whatever's left, and just be like, hey guys, want some whiskey? And they're just going to be like, fucking Vito.
Yeah, people are saying so. Like Steve in the chat here said, White Walker's okay, slightly different than Black Label. Christina thinks it's very brittle. Yeah, I've heard pretty, mediocre reviews over all of it. But I've seen the pictures now, right? So I don't know if I'm going to go put it in the freezer but I'm still sort of compelled just to see it for myself.
I don't know who the reviewer is. I got to get back. I gotta give him a shout out. Either if I figure it out by the end of the episode or next episode. I really like his reviews. He recently did one on the White Walker, and he did side-by-side comparison of it out of the freezer and at room temperature.
Mm.
And this has turned into a Johnny Walker, White Walker talk, but whatever. And the way he I don't remember how he preferred it, but I remember thinking to myself as I was listening to him, I think I might put it in the freezer.
Yeah. Because that's what they want you to do with it, right? So
yeah, it's part of the marketing.
Yeah, so I'd be interested in trying that, but yeah, I gotta see if I can find who it was, because this name's escaping me right now. But yeah, blends are blends, right? Like if they're done right, they're magical. If they're done poorly, then that's what it is. But
blends are blends.
The best thing that I think that we can all agree on is that if you have a local a whiskey bar, or even just a pub that has like a decent selection of whiskeys, they're gonna have some blends, they're gonna have some single malts. And instead of going out and buying and rolling the dice and just going off like internet reviews or what your friends might say, go in, spend $5, $10, $15 on a quick 1 ounce, 2 ounce pour. Absolutely. And make the decision for yourself. If you don't like the blend, then don't buy the bottle. But at least you tried it out, because a lot of people are surprised.
I'm kind of fortunate. Really close to my house, and actually directly on the way home from work for me, is a bar that has a pretty damn impressive whiskey collection. There's some better ones downtown, but at least on the north side of Austin, where I live, they've got 6 or 8 Ardbegs, depending on when you go in there. I mean, they've got a whole backside of a menu that's all Scotch, and then on the inside they've got bourbon, and then a whole special section for Texas whiskeys and stuff like that. And I know you guys.
Is that bar called 2 Feet Behind You?
Well, yeah. It's sometimes you just want to go out and be served.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
Oh, served.
Yes. Y'all have, I think it's in Toronto, right? There's some pretty awesome whiskey bar.
Yeah, the Caledonian.
It's one of the few Ardbeg embassies in North America.
Yep. Owned by a lovely, lovely Scottish couple. They are the most wonderful people, and their selection is fantastic. And they're always doing these awesome tastings with people. The last one that I went to, I was talking about in last episode with the Glenfiddich ambassador for Canada. The next one is Killiman, and if I'm not mistaken, the owner of the distillery is going to be there giving a talk
awesome.
and a tasting. So yeah, they're always doing cool events. And if you're ever in Toronto, or even our listeners and our guests in the chat, if you live in Toronto, first of all, reach out to us, and we'll get to you. But definitely look into it. The Caledonian is on College Street, Little Italy, weirdly enough. But it's an awesome bar.
Very cool. Y'all, Mr. Jeffrey Patron was recently there, right?
Yes, we hosted Mr. Patron. Myself, Adam, Daniel Hayes, a bunch of the other Canadian members of the community. And we had a great time. We were in the little bothy, I think it's called. What like Ralphie sits in his reviews.
Right. Yeah. I know what you mean.
So they have like a makeshift little bothy in the back of the bar, and it's a little bit heated, and it's got a big long a wooden table. Then it's very communal. It was awesome. And Jeffrey's a stand-up New Jerseyite.
I don't know. What's the proper term for someone from New Jersey?
Who cares about them anyways? Crazy.
I say Jeffrey is
he'll agree with me. It's okay.
Asking Lance if his liver is an Ardbeg embassy.
Probably should be classified that way. Legally classified as an Ardbeg embassy.
It made me, a big long wooden table made me giggle too, Lance. But yeah, it was a pleasure to host Jeffrey in our city this past weekend. So Thanks for coming up, Jeff. It was awesome to see you.
So y'all must have sipped many whiskeys there.
Oh boy.
Okay. We were talking about this earlier today. I don't mean to shit on anybody at all. That's not the point. But I'm very confused by this question that gets asked an awful lot on Facebook and whatnot is what's a good sipping whiskey? And I was confused by that. I was asking these guys, I said, aren't they all sipping whiskeys? I mean, I sip all of them, right? I mean, unless you're taking them as a shot. And that was the best answer I got to explain this phrase is to tell people it's not for shooting.
Right.
But I mean, what do you guys think? People ask, what's a good sipping whiskey? And I'm like, all of them?
Yeah, I would say that that's probably the difference that people mean, like whether it's something that is quote unquote meant to be shot or drank slowly, sip by sip. But personally, I'm with you. It's all sipping whiskey. If it's not worth sipping on, why am I drinking it?
Exactly. Even if I'm going to mix it into a cocktail, it's probably one that I would want to drink neat anyway.
Yeah. Lance thinks of it. Lance Van Ness, member of the Ardbeg cult, sit down and explore whiskey.
Okay, so more of what has been referred to as a hero whiskey.
Sure. So hero whiskey versus background whiskey kind of thing. But it's like if I'm sitting and relaxing, like I'm still sipping on it, even if I'm not like.
Oh, see, but Daniel Brower here, he thinks it's the opposite. Something that you don't have to think about too much. Okay. Just sit back and simp.
See, I think it's going to mean something different to everybody, which then pose it as a little bit of confusion in the conversation, right? Yeah. Like for me personally, and I've had issues in the past with consumption. Nothing too crazy, but it does seem to excessive consumption does affect me very negatively. So I've sort of turned almost essentially every whiskey into a sipping whiskey. I take my time with it. I sit down. It's almost like I'm self-controlling my experience with my whiskey, and I'm gaining more out of each whiskey that way.
Yeah, it increases your enjoyment and allows you to slow yourself down.
Right. So for me, a sipping whiskey, that is just every whiskey is a sipping whiskey for me.
Yeah.
Because of my personal situation. Now, for everyone else, it's completely separate, as apparent in the chat with a couple of people commenting, right? So I can see where I can see all different sides of the story, right? Because you have to just put yourself in someone else's shoes and be like, especially when Daniel, what did Daniel say exactly? Where is he? Something I don't have to think too much about, right?
Right, so, right. Like, something that you're just sitting back and enjoying.
Yeah.
Gently.
So like immediately when he says that, I think, okay, I come home from a long day after work. I want to sit down and relax with a bit of whiskey.
Right.
That's what I think, and I talked to Daniel. That's exactly what I think of Daniel doing with his whiskey. Is I had a long day. I'm just gonna sit down and wind down. Right.
Sure.
So it's an interesting term or right term. Yeah,
it's open to interpretation.
Yeah, it's to everybody. It's confusing. It's not set in stone. Just got to take it. I think we should all just take it for what it is, and that's how you enjoy drinking whiskey. For people that want to answer questions like that, when someone asks what's a good sipping whiskey, when do you find yourself drinking most? After work, late at night, at a bar, right? So I feel like if whoever's listening, a sipping whiskey is the whiskey that you want to drink at the time, and you're gonna drink it the way you want to at that period of time. So
I saw in the chat here we have Bill from the Whiskey Dick YouTube channel, who we met down here in Austin at the Crowded Barrel opening. So good to have you in.
Awesome.
Good to see you again. Well, not see you again, but sort of.
have you in our presence?
Sure.
Yes.
What virtually? No, it's
still counts.
So
still counts.
Doesn't
Absolutely.
matter.
This technically doesn't count as drinking alone now, right?
Right.
Not at all.
As as one Roy would say, we're in a virtual pub right now.
There you go.
Virtual pub, yeah. It isn't whiskey till it's shared.
And there are no strangers in whiskey, so welcome, you friends.
Yeah. Cheers.
Sandra.
So I was looking at this poll here because I have the we're going to talk about sherry finished whiskeys, and we all have different ones here in a little bit, but I had a couple of American options here, and one was the Bell Mead sherry finished bourbon and the Westland Sherry Wood American single malt.
Dead heat, 50-50.
50-50 right now.
And there's still time to vote. I'm going to put the link in the chat, so there's still time to vote.
Am I allowed to vote? Can I vote?
Sure you can. Why not?
All right, I'm going to vote.
Just don't tell them. It's fine.
For. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to go in and vote. Give me a second here.
So I'll just show them real quick. But Westland, Sherry Wood, and then this little guy, Bell Mead, Sherry Bourbon.
So something interesting happened the other night.
Yes.
And Brad was here for that. Well, here on a chat.
Here.
Here. I got home after the Jeffrey Patron visit, and I was handed off a bottle of the Puni Nova, which I'm enjoying right now, at a lovely temperature. It was in my car for a couple hours, and it was a little chilly. I got home, I opened it up to do a side-by-side comparison with the other Italian malt I have right there.
There's two different ones. I didn't know that.
Yep,
okay.
There's a bunch, actually. They have a lot of expressions. I'm trying my best to try and source them because as an Italian, I feel like I'm obligated for some reason.
Yeah, you have to get your people's whiskey.
Yeah, so I wanted to do side-by-side immediately when I got home. So I opened both up, and it hit me that it was so cold, and it completely changed over the hour that it was in my glass, because I just kind of kept it in the glass. I put my lid on it, and I just kind of try to heat it up a little bit back to room temperature. And as it heated up, it obviously the more vapors happened and all that. So it got me thinking, and we talked about this the other day, whiskey storage, and it seems to come up a lot. And what temperature to keep it at? How do you keep it on the shelf? Do you keep it in the boxes? Do you keep it out of light? All these different variables.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about there.
Everyone's kind of always questioning, is this right? Is this the best way of storing it? And I think that so something that we both have. Well, the three of us. Brad's here too. Hi, Brad.
Hi.
By the way, do you have some shiny round object in your possession?
A shiny round object, like
yes.
There was a call. Amongst
this thing,
the bling.
It
is.
There it is. Proof.
That's proof that I could bludgeon someone to death if they don't like my whiskey selection.
Of course, talking about the level 1 sommelier medallion,
the AKA the black belt of whiskey sommelierness, where I'm ready to start learning now and don't really know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm very curious about it and I'm on board.
Soon to be level 2.
Soon, next month, yeah. Assuming I pass, but yes, next month. Let's go with next month. I'll be level 2. Yeah.
As long as you're genuine and not a cheater, Brad, I know you'll do just fine.
I wouldn't cheat on my sommelier tests, unlike those wine people that I.
Where's the honor in that? Where is the honor in that?
Exactly.
But yeah, going back a little bit.
You see my storage.
Yeah, we see it plain and simple. Now, do you have any windows in the room that your cabinet's in?
Yeah, there's 2 directly across the opposite wall here, but just outside, which actually, if you're walking past my house and the lights are on or it's daylight, you can kind of see this big old thing from the sidewalk, which makes me like mildly paranoid.
All those whiskeys are ruined. You better just send them on over to me. I'll get rid of them for you.
No, I'm more like, if somebody was to to break in and steal my stuff, which is obviously never going to happen. But like, I got it in the back of my mind sometimes anyway.
Gotta hide it behind the bookcase, man.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the windows. There's a pair of windows over here, and there's a giant tree outside. So there's really no direct sunlight that comes in through and hits on the cabinet at all. Even in the middle of the summer, brightest part of the day, it's fine. And these are LED lights in there as well, so really shouldn't have any problem. Degrading the whiskey via light, UV, or anything like that.
Yeah. So it's essentially what it seems to be really the keys. The keys is keeping the bottles, if untubed or unboxed, away from direct sunlight, right?
Yeah. So what do you? I see some unboxed behind you, and I see some boxed behind you.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or those?
So what I have behind me, one shelf, and then just to my right, your left, I have a little mini bookcase with my other whiskeys that aren't Isla or bourbon and Italian. But because I don't have very many right now, I'm taking up a lot of space behind the bottles with the boxes. Right? So when I take a bottle down, I know where I'm putting it back. But all my whiskey is on display, ready to grab out of the box, because the only windows that I have are above them.
I see.
Right. So I'm actually my living room. Well, the living room that I use is in the basement. Right. And these windows don't get very much light through them, anyways.
Right.
So my there's almost no natural light in my living room. So I untube all of my whiskeys, and they're just out. So I don't really have to worry too much about it.
Untubing. I think that's a word.
Untubing.
Sure.
But what I do have to worry about, and this is something I guess we'll get to right now, is temperature, because there are two air vents immediately above me, right?
Sure.
Your whiskey is also ruined. You better just send it on over. I'll dispose of it for you.
For testing, I think.
Yeah, for testing purposes.
What I've done, Brad, you sneaky mooch. You're a sommelier. You're not allowed to be a mooch.
I am the abomination. I could do what I want.
What did we call it a couple of months ago? A smooch? Was it a smooch?
That sounds like something
right.
I would try to avoid repeating so that it doesn't become a thing. Sure, that's probably what it was.
It's become a thing now. People are listening.
Yeah, a thing now.
Damn you, Vito.
Brad is a level 1.5 smooch.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So what I've done is I've actually covered up the air vents so that there's no in the summertime cold air hitting the bottles, and in the wintertime no hot air hitting the bottles. Sure. And I have a separate little unit that's kind of keeping air regulated at a good temperature in this room. So temperature is a big thing that I've noticed. And the other night, bringing the Puni Nova back, which I will get to, guys. Don't worry. The chat's blowing up. Why aren't I talking about the Nova?
Conspiracy. What are you hiding, Vito?
We'll get. I'm not actually drinking. it. Shh. But temperature drastically changes how the whiskey's going to taste. And keeping the temperature, between 16 and 22 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in freedom degrees, but
I have no idea either.
I think Brad can pull up the conversion real quick, but I think that's somewhere around the 70.
What is it, Celsius?
Area.
You said
16 to 23, 16 to 22.
Okay, so
20.
like
say 20.
So like 72, 73 degrees.
Yeah,
would be 20. So
I always kind of I play guitar, and I've collected guitars for a little while now, and I kind of think about that. What they always say about guitars is probably about true for whiskey. Is if your guitars or your whiskey are comfortable, they'll be comfortable where you are comfortable. So
Sure.
If you're in a room and it's too damn hot or too damn cold, well, it's probably too damn cold or too damn hot for your whiskey too.
Yeah.
Yeah, my house is pretty. The lower level stays like nicely cool in the summer and nice and warm in the winter. So it should be in pretty good shape. But I don't really keep the boxes though, or the tubes or anything like that, unless I think they're really, really cool. Like I have the Flaming Heart and the Phenomenology one right now, just because the artwork's so awesome on there.
I feel like that's true with every Compass box. Like they
Compass box does good art.
Like they hire people to do the art custom for their boxes, do they not?
Yeah.
No, I'm sure. Yeah.
Right. So they're definitely worth keeping. I'm just keeping them just to be annoying, because when people come over and they see all these, they go even crazier because like there's more whiskey there. I'm like, no, that's just empty boxes.
You're keeping them just to be be
yeah. I'm a fairly big troll in real life, so
he's the IRL troll.
Nice.
Okay, so what about when you open a bottle? Are you ever concerned about the oxidation and stuff like that? Especially if it's something you're going to keep for a while, or any particular type of whiskey?
I feel I can't string a sentence together tonight, which is what different than any other night. With my more expensive bottles, I try to keep them to a limit of like 4 or 5 months once I open them.
Sure. You mean you try and go through them then?
I try to go through them. And we were talking about this the other night, actually. I bottled down my Glendronach, Glendronach 12, and that was one of the first bottles that I bought. I bought it back in the beginning of March, and I opened it right away, and I bottled it down last week. So that is March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, almost 8 months.
Okay.
And I sort of did it as an experiment, but also because I wasn't really enjoying it as much as I thought I would. Once a couple of months after I first opened it up,
right?
And 8 months, way too long. Obviously, way too long. If you're not using anything else, and I know we're gonna get to this because I know there's something that you use that should be helping a little bit with that elongation process. But
spoilers,
this stuff.
Yeah. So I've been trying to keep my good bottles, the bottles that I'm spending a little bit of more money on within a certain period of time, and the rest of them, between because in Canada, $40 is on the less expensive side, but $40 to $80 I'm keeping a little bit longer, just because I'm curious about how the whiskey's gonna oxidize throughout the life of it.
Right.
But the more expensive ones I'm trying to down a little bit quicker, but still enjoying it to its fullest, right?
I'm not really sure what makes the difference, though. Like, it seems like that some whiskeys, Lagavulin in particular, seems to be susceptible to this, in my opinion, anyway. That as it oxidizes and sits, and not even for a terribly long time. I mean, I haven't ever had a bottle of Lagavulin around for 5 years or anything like that. But as it sits, it doesn't go bad so much as it kind of gets flat. And loses some of its nuance of flavor and stuff like that. So for certain bottles like that I know as they age, I perceive some kind of a difference that I don't like. Usually with bourbon and stuff like that, I don't find it makes much of a difference. But stuff that's heavily peated, your Islay whiskeys and stuff like that, I use this Private Preserve, and there's some other brands out there, but it's marketed as wine preserver, but it says right on the can that it's good for cognac, scotch, bourbon, tequila, any other type of alcoholic beverage you want to save. And Jared, my friend Jared, actually turned me onto this, gave me a can of it, and he's been using it forever. He's got some really special limited bottles that he's kept for years and years with this stuff. And it's, I've had a sample out of those, and I can't tell the difference. It's like it was first opened, and he's had it for a really long time. So it seems to work. If you're going to go through a bottle pretty quickly, it may not be totally worth it. But if you're going to hang on to it for a while, I think it's effective.
Yeah.
Another thing I've seen is people use marbles and other things like that to basically fill up the bottle so there's less air. There's all kinds of weird strategies.
I've heard about that. Yeah, but I feel like introducing another surface area to the whiskey isn't.
Well, if it's just glass, if it's a glass marble, it's not, as long as they're properly cleaned and everything first.
Yeah,
I guess.
Sure.
I don't know. I'd feel weird using balls.
It does seem weird, but I get the logic behind it, and I can't really find any fault in like
well, if you have
how
if you have a
work.
collection like Josh, right, and you're using it like that, I feel like that works if you have like 1 or 2 bottles, 3 bottles maybe, because that you can end up using a lot of marbles, right?
Sure, yeah,
Right.
it would have to
Right,
be like these like 3 or 4 super fancy bottles or whatever that you don't want to mess with gas on for whatever reason. But yeah, it's not something you'd be able to do a ton.
So Adam asked a question that
I saw that.
He wanted to know if most of my collection was filled with Gretchen, my wife's lavender lattes. These are becoming famous in the whiskey community because every time we go up to Balcones, there's a restaurant across the street called Milo, and Milo makes lavender lattes, and she always gets teased for ordering a lavender latte. No, I will tell you, Adam, that my collection is not entirely consisting of lavender lattes. However, when you make your way down to Austin, I may put some lavender latte in one of these bottles just to mess with you.
Notice he very specifically said not entirely lavender lattes.
Yeah. You pick the wrong bottle, you're going to be surprised. It's going to be nice and floral, pretty.
I mean, they sound delicious. I don't know what people are talking about. It's fine.
Although, like, if I did that and it's if I put a lavender latte in one of these bottles and then it sat here for 6 months, that
probably wouldn't be as good.
Pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So, with that said, decanters.
Yes.
Well, how do you feel about that when you're storing whiskeys? Do you use decanters?
I just bought one on Saturday.
The Balcones?
Oh, at the Balcones 10-year celebration or whatever?
Because it was pretty. That's
right. No, hold on. Let me correct that, because it was Balcones.
Right. Because it was beautiful and because it was Balcones.
You bad boy, you.
Yeah. I apologize for nothing.
So yeah, how do you feel about it?
I in general really don't ever use decanters. I tell you why I have used them. In fact, when you were here, Vito, I had just kind of a cheap one out off Amazon that I tried to do a infinity bottle, but I mean the seal on the the cap was pretty terrible. So that infinity bottle went off and just wasn't worthwhile. It didn't seal. So I started using it. If I had a bunch of people over and we were sampling a bunch of whiskey, just fill it with water and put it in the middle of the table, so that people could like rinse their glasses or take a drink of water, etc. And they didn't have to get up. I could see also, like, if you were going to try some sort of blend that, say you mix something up in a glass and you like the result. I really like a little bit of brimstone mixed into Irish whiskey. That's a solid combo. Highly recommend trying it.
Yeah.
But, if I wanted to mix up a little batch of that and I was going to drink it within like a week or two, that might be a good vessel to store it in, right? But in general, I'm not really a decanter, type guy.
Me either.
So.
Yeah, I'm not big on them. However, it may be my mind playing tricks on me, but I feel like I've seen decanters with most decanters come as crystal, right? So it's crystal on crystal, the seal. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I've seen in the past the stopper with a ring, like a rubber ring.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sure, with a proper seal.
So
sure.
I feel like if you really want to be if you want to use a decanter to showcase like a very special whiskey, like a Macallan M, for example, as famous as it is, right? Or like any other whiskey that you hold in high regard that's a little bit more expensive or very special to you, and one is displayed in a decanter. I feel like that's the one to look for, is something with a somewhat of a proper seal. That
right, or recycling an old bottle, like especially if it has a synthetic cork.
Yeah, like so my infinity bottle is an old Oban 14 bottle. Okay. And I just took off all the thing. It's not the nicest bottle, but it does its job. What I really want to use is the Hibiki Harmony bottle. That's a beautiful bottle.
That's what I use for my infinity bottle. It works very well. Yeah. It's purty.
Yeah, Steve's exactly what you're talking about is said that he has a silicone flange stopper.
Yeah, so I mean, as long as it's got a good seal, and it's not like crystal or something that's going to leach things eventually into the whiskey, then you're good.
Yeah. No, no lead crystal, right?
Yeah,
that
would be bad. I mean,
Definitely
short term, it's not really going to do much. But like if you're actually storing it for a period of time, then it's not great.
Now, speaking of storing, this is something that me and some of the other Canadians have been talking about because we're discussing bottle splits, right?
Yeah.
So on that sort of thought wavelength, do you have smaller bottles where you take what's left in a bottle, let's say halfway, like a 350 milliliter? Do you ever think about transferring it, or have you done that before?
Well, no, I use that wine preserver spray, so it really doesn't matter how much it forms like a gas barrier sort of blanket on the top of the whiskey. So
but prior to that,
well, I have some of those sample bottles, but what I use them for is if I'm going to take an assortment of whiskeys somewhere to, bring to a party or something like that, and, give some tastings, or, I've swapped with friends, giving them a sample of something, they give me a sample of something. I've got some that hold up to 4 ounces, and I've got some smaller ones that are like airplane size bottles, whatever those are.
I think they're 2 ounces typically.
Okay.
The ones that I have are 2 ounces anyway. I don't know if that's standard or what the deal is.
I've never done it, but I've been thinking about maybe starting to do that. But we'll see. I think I'm going to try and find a bottle of that preserver. I've just been slacking so hard because I've known about it for a while now. You've told me about it multiple times, but I should try and get out and find a bottle of that to use.
Right. When you do the bottle split, who keeps the actual bottle?
Oh, it's a raffle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we haven't done it yet, but I've already kind of claimed the bottle. If we do it, it's either going to be the Flaming Heart of the Phenomenology. But I think I preemptively claimed it, but what we're going to start doing is actually just like drawing a name, and if you don't keep the bottle, you don't keep the bottle. But I like keeping my bottles. I have a little bit of a project in mind. Once I get enough bottles, and stay tuned. Because
so you're keeping all your empties, or at least like the ones that you like.
Yeah, I'm keeping all my empties. Well, no, all my empties. Yeah, okay. Every single one of them.
I have a handful. Like I kept the first bottle of Balcones that I ever bought, and it's sitting up next to like the decorative barrel I have up here. And then I have a bottle of Russell's Reserve that was signed by Eddie Russell.
Nice.
And then an Ardbeg Grooves committee release that I happened to just walk into a store and find, luckily. But I keep those ones that are just cool enough or have some sort of memory associated with them.
Fair. Sure.
And the rest of them kind of get tossed. Oh, I did keep a bottle of Eagle Rare that I turned into a torch for the back, like to put on the patio table outside. So,
nice.
Or it's either a torch or it's a Molotov cocktail.
Keep that bottle away from you if I get a little tipsy at your place.
Yeah,
don't drink from that one.
Don't want any mistakes with that. But
can't come back ever since he set my house on fire.
This whiskey tastes like torch fuel. What's going
on? But going back a little bit, I keep the bottles, but I'm also keeping the corks. How do you guys feel about that?
I keep all the corks just in case there's a disaster when I'm opening a different bottle and I need a spare cork.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a solid. I don't know. I have the boxes that bookers come in, the wooden boxes with the plastic slide.
Yep.
I have one of those set aside that I keep the used corks in from old bottles, and I always keep. You keep an assortment because they're actually different sizes on different bottles. A lot of them are kind of standardized, but sometimes you pluck one out and it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
A fair amount of them are a standard size, but there's definitely weird cork sizes that people use sometimes. Very annoying.
Yep, exactly.
Or that weird stopper one that you have that's not even like a real cork top. It's just like a hard stopper you can't even open.
Oh, the bib and tucker?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's meant to look like an old-timey jug of whiskey. So annoying. And what about, lastly, flasks?
I have
travel whiskey storage.
I have
like this thing.
I have a tiny juice box as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have one of those like large Stanley flasks it holds some, it's a ridiculous amount. Like you're meant to share it for sure. I forget how many ounces it holds, like 8 ounces of whiskey or something like that.
Okay.
But it's got a nice like wide mouth on it, but it is super heavy. You can't really put it in your pocket. And then I got one in a gift bag as well one time. That's kind of just a smaller portable one, but I so rarely use them. Just every once in a while, like if I'm going out to an all-day music festival or something, and we're drinking a little bit in the parking lot, so we don't have to buy $12, mixed drinks inside the venue or what have you.
I don't use mine much at all. I think I've used it once since getting it. But it's nice when the occasion comes up where it makes sense to have, but such a rare occurrence.
Lance has a great flask idea, a prosthetic leg that's hollow.
There you go.
I just got to lose a leg.
Sure.
So flasks. I don't know. I'm just every once in a while.
Extremely temperate, like a day, 2 days. I'll fill in the if I'm going to a wedding, I'm gonna fill it with I'm on straight up. I don't care what anyone says. I'm gonna fill it with monkey shoulder. Right, and I'm gonna bring it to a wedding.
I don't even care what anybody says. I'm drinking that monkey shoulder.
I'm drinking that monkey shoulder, baby. And the reason because sometimes they won't have any good rye, and at most weddings I will drink rye and ginger ale. Okay. If I don't like the rye that they have behind the bar, I am just gonna get a bit of ice, a dash of ginger ale. And I'm gonna pour a little bit of monkey shoulder in there and just have a really quick cocktail, just to kind of get my little bit of a nice tasting going during dinner. But
sure,
if I don't end up drinking, thank you, Steve A. There's nothing wrong with monkey shoulder. If I don't end up drinking it, I bring it home and I drink it the next day. In a little pour, just kind of relaxing after the wedding. But yeah, very temporary, 1-2 days max, and then I feel like after that. The container starts affecting the whiskey.
Yeah, you don't want to leave it in there for very
long. Well, my glass is empty. And
mine too.
And I have an absolute stunner of a whiskey ready to go.
I think you have us beat by a mile.
Yeah. We're gonna get into a little bit of a showdown here, sherry showdown. And what's the status of the poll, Brad?
Let's see. What is Josh drinking? Looks like the Westland wins by just a little tiny scrap.
Right. Well, I'll pour that. Have you? You've got what was it? Bunnahabhain?
I have number 2 on Aqua Vitae's top 5 must try. Is it must try?
It was top 5 favorite whiskeys that weren't like incredibly rare or difficult to find was one video, but yours was on the other one, right?
Mine was on the other one.
Yours was on the top 5. Maybe you'll never find it, but like if I have it, those are my favorites. Yeah.
I was given. It smells so good. I was given a Bunnahabhain Moin Oloroso.
Right, stay there. I'll be there in 4 hours.
Brad's on his way.
Number 2 on Aqua Vitae's list, bottled at 60.1%.
Ooh,
wow!
Cast strength.
If I'm not mistaken, we're talking about 3 or 4 different. 7, my bad. 7 Oloroso sherry casks were used in creating this expression. And I was gifted this sample by one Dave Kramer of Canadian Magnificence.
Nice.
And it is just absolutely fantastic.
I want to know where my sample is, Dave.
I haven't.
Yes, seriously.
It's in Canada. It's in Canada, Josh. Come and visit.
Oh, I have to come fetch it.
I could get there. Just give me a few hours.
Yeah. So that's what I have right now in my in my Glencairn.
So real quickly, can we just talk about real quick, Roy?
Yes, we can. Yeah, absolutely.
The man.
Always, he's awesome.
So cool.
Always talk about him.
So nice. Great channel. Love Roy. He's the best.
Yeah.
The most gentlemanly gentleman in whiskey, I think.
I got a very I was very privileged to talk to him for a couple of minutes, and for whoever can remember, we, for the few that were in the room at the time, we did a little ceremony with a classic Scottish quiche.
Quake.
A
quiche. It's not a quiche.
I'm
really
really hungry. Apparently,
yeah.
I'm very hungry.
Yeah, Quake,
and he introduced us to there are no strangers in whiskey sort of celebration, and it was wonderful. He's a stand-up gentleman. He's shouted us out a couple of times. We can't thank him enough, and we didn't even ask him for it. He saw that what we were doing. He's been extremely supportive.
Yep.
I will cheers that in a second after we finish talking about what we have in our glasses, because we should all just talk about our noses first.
Sure.
Brad,
what did you have? Was it Redbreast?
Yeah, it was the Redbreast Listowel is what I've got
Nice.
in mind, which is very, very tasty. It's just all like, but it's almost like, I want to say stale gingerbread, but like something is just a little bit like too much butter in the gingerbread or something. Like something is just a little.
Sure, like if gingerbread and butter cookies or shortbread cookies had a baby.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, it's very gingerbready, but like
a
delicious
weird. Cookie baby.
It's a delicious cookie baby. That's right. It's really, really good. It's sweeter than I do. Anything really sherry is going to be sweeter than I would normally reach for. So like, it's not going to hit my top whiskeys personally, but it is very
but when you're
good.
in the mood for that nice, sweet, fruity,
oh yeah, sure. No, it's rich, sweet dessert.
Yeah.
When you're in the mood for a delicious cookie baby, and also you want a whiskey.
Are you in the mood for a cookie baby?
Jesus.
And there's the mature tag on the podcast settings. Okay.
Trending now. # cookie baby.
Oh boy.
I'm getting a bit of barbecue sauce on this Bunnahabhain.
Nice.
That could make sense, man.
Yeah,
is it peated at all?
No, it's all Oloroso.
Okay.
As far as I know, I'm not getting any peat. If there is, like the sherry is just dominating.
Yeah.
It's just so underneath it that I'm just taken aback by this barbecue smoked meat that I'm getting right up front. It's leave it with me for a little bit. Talk about the Westland, and I'll get back to you on the peat.
So, have either of you had Westland before? At all? No. You don't get it up there, right?
I had some last time I was at Austin. I had one of them.
The regular single malt, maybe.
I think it was just the single malt. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's in the same ballpark as stuff like Stranahan's and Balcones single malt, where Balcones is a little more wood forward, I'd say, whereas the Westland's a little more grain. I mean, they're all kind of grain forward. Sure. They have a very, you can tell that super malty character. It's a little bit sort of dense and rich compared to like a Speyside single malt. But on this sherry finished Westland, it's kind of the obvious notes of dark fruit and those sort of wine type notes. And I mean, let's talk about what sherry even is, right? Sherry is a fortified wine. So they essentially make wine from different types of grapes, and then they add usually, I think, spirit made from wine to bump up the alcohol content, right? So you end up with this kind of sweet wine that's extra boozy. Sure. And This one is made, I think, Oloroso and Pedro Jimenez sherry casks. So yeah, it's got a nice richness and a lot of those dark fruit notes. It's obviously really sweet on the nose, and then just some spice to it too, which I think it comes from a little bit more barrel influence probably that you get in North American single malts versus say a Scotch.
Sure.
So
yeah, I'm not getting very much. By the way, that Westland sounds amazing, but I'm not getting very much peat. It's kind of like not a peat, like phenolics, because you got the Oloroso sweetness from the dark fruits, a little bit of pepper, and you get brine, like a bit of brine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a weird, like if you take all the peat out of like a Lafroig, and you're just left with like a little bit of like a slight medicinal sort of. It's weird. It's super complex. Like this is beyond me right now. I'll admit it. This is way beyond I'm punching above my weight limit here.
Sure.
That's fair.
But it's okay. I think I can't resist anymore. I gotta
going in for the taste.
I don't know if it's just the camera too, but it looks super dark.
It really does, like and like a red and a cherry hue.
Oh yeah, well, seven Oloroso barrels will probably do that, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Wow. Woo. That'll warm you up. It tastes like 60%.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. Still get that barbecue.
It's got a lot of burn to it for being high proof.
Not burn, that warming. It's not a burn. It's not abrasive. It just warms me straight down.
Sure.
Still get that barbecued characteristic that I was getting on the nose. A tartness showed up, like a green apple. Green apple, yeah. Green apple's like tart, right?
Yeah. Can be.
There's a tart apple. Let's just say tart apple because I don't know my colors.
Colors are hard, man. It's like counting. It's so hard.
Yeah, it's very hard, especially for me. I really quick aside. I failed math all throughout high school. I have to take summer school every year. So ask me to do a mathematic something. Don't just be prepared to wait a couple of weeks.
Noted.
So how's that Lustal?
It's very good. It's almost. I've drank almost all of it.
It's
very
so
tasty.
that wasn't a sipping whiskey for you, was it?
Well, I mean it is, but I've been sipping on it very quickly because it's tasty.
Oh boy.
And it's gone. I need more.
Oh no.
Thankfully, I have more.
I think the Westland to me always has this slight like mocha coffee kind of flavor. It's not sure. It's not super present, but it has a bit of a coffee note and a bit of a chocolate note together, and it's a bit spicy. You know, I think you get that barrel spice along with the fruit, and then the core Westland, like the unpeated, not the sherry wood, just the regular Westland, has that mocha coffee note in the background to it. So that's still present here in the sherry wood as well, just combined with that fruitiness and the richness from the sherry barrels. It's pretty sweet, but enough tannins and stuff to kind of balance that out.
Cool. That sounds tasty.
Very tasty.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get a little bit of a taste when I'm back down in Austin with you.
You got it, buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's our Redbreast, Vunahaven, and the Westland. Bellmead, I'll bring it back out a different time, I guess. Yeah. Give it a try. It's actually, I have had it before, so
where's Bellmead from again?
Kentucky. It's sourced. Like it's one of those distilleries that's sourcing for now, but also distilling their own stuff.
Okay.
I think it's Kentucky. Greenbrier. Yeah, I think it's Kentucky. Don't quote me on that.
We'll as a little tease, we'll do a bourbon. That's a bourbon, right?
Yeah, it's a bourbon, and I got this little gift pack that has this one's sherry, obviously, and there's another one that's cognac finished, and there's another that's Madeira finished.
Ooh, fancy.
That's
the sherry one is super smooth and sweet and desserty, really rich and tasty. I mean, it's absolutely a dessert whiskey. But of the three, I got to say, it's probably my favorite. Just one of those you got to be in the mood for, though.
Yeah. I think we could do like a bourbon showdown sometime soon.
Right? Absolutely.
With different finishes, maybe. I think that's something that we can facilitate
Absolutely.
for the people.
For the people.
Gotta give the people what they want.
Yeah. All right.
I guess
time's running short. Let's get to our quick recommendation segment, the Fiddly Bits. We're gonna end every podcast with the Fiddly Bits. And like I said, this is just a quick recommendation, whether it's books, movies, music. We're gonna just kind of let you guys know what's been going on in our lives that we'd completely recommend to you, or have you check out. So Josh, I think yours is call for number one, because this was sounded amazing. I'm really upset that we didn't get a chance to experience this, but
yeah, the Balcones 10th anniversary party was on Saturday, and it was amazing and also just kind of crazy all around. We went and had lunch, we had brunch across the street. We had a bunch of magnificent bastards there that all met up at Milo, which is a great restaurant. If you're ever in Waco and go into Balcones, check them out. They make great food. We also had Spencer Whelan and Christy and Spencer's wife Sarah were there from Texas Whiskey Association. So we hung out with those guys for a little bit. And when it came time to go across to Balcones and they're opening the doors, it started pouring rain, and apparently there was a tornado that happened nearby as well. I mean, it was just ridiculous. They brought everybody inside. Everybody was just soaking wet. And Dana Whittington, his wife Alay, were there, shooting little videos and stuff like that. And they were trying to bring in samples for everybody to taste of their new whiskeys, which were fantastic. I got to try the new port finished single malt and then a sherry finished single malt. Both just excellent stuff. And then we got a little time to talk to the master distiller, Jared Himstedt, who's a really cool guy. Myself and a bunch of other guys that are in Whiskey Tribe are going next month up there for what they call a master class about whiskey blending. And found out that the plan for the class is for Jared and the other guys that work up there, Zach, Gabe, Thomas, to bring in samples of various whiskeys, probably the single malts. They may bring some other stuff, but bring in samples of various whiskeys that are aged in different ways, in different woods, etc. And we'll be able to put together our own personal blend of Balcones whiskey. Once we decide on what percentages we want to blend together for a final product, they'll bottle that stuff and we'll come and pick it up, and we'll have our own special, unique to us bottle of Balcones single malt.
That sounds pretty sweet.
So, yep. Should be pretty awesome. They have a couple of other releases that are coming out. We got to try. There's a wheated bourbon coming out next month, which was really tasty. And then in December, they're doing 2 different variations of Brimstone. There's a Brimstone redo, which I think is trying to go back to the way it was originally made at Balcones back in the day. Something about roasting the blue corn for extra long time. I don't really know all the details, but that was pretty good. Mostly tasted like regular Brimstone, just a little more intense maybe. And then they have a magical Brimstone PX Sherry finished, which is just beyond delicious. Everyone was blown away by it that tried it. So really, really looking forward to that.
I've heard crazy good things.
It was kind of crazy,
PX
rained
finish.
out, tornadoes and everything to start the day, but then it all cleared up and we got to try a bunch of cool whiskeys, take a tour of the distillery, and yeah, it was a good day.
Nice.
Cool.
We don't get stuff like that up here.
Not very often. Very, very rare.
Oh, Jason was asking me, he says going to Balcones next week. Will they still have anniversary whiskey to purchase? Yeah, I saw a post today that they did still have some of the Brujeria and the Hitchceros 10th anniversary whiskeys available. I don't know how many or if they're going to have some next week, but they did still have some available. They are a little more pricey than your average. Like Balcones special releases are normally about $80. These are a little more. One was 100 and one was 120, 130, I think it was.
These are limited releases, though, right?
Yeah. They're not. I think one of them is going to see some distribution, but I don't remember which one. But both I thought were quite good. The port's a very desserty. What would you expect out of a port finish? And then the sherry does have a hint of peat to it, so it's got a little kind of peppery spice. They're both really nice.
Brad, how about you, real quick?
My recommendation this week would be a book called Whiskey Distilled by Heather Green, which is actually a book that I got at the level 1 Somm training in April, where I got to meet Heather Green and hang out with her and chat with her and stuff. And she's actually really cool.
Classes over there?
She did a talk and then she just hung out with us.
That's cool.
Right. She kind of helps out with the classes from time to time.
Yeah, I think she probably helped with the curriculum a little bit and stuff. A lot of the level 1 stuff is very reminiscent of certain parts of this book because she goes through the whole process of making whiskey. And there's a lot of anecdotes about how she was, a rep for different whiskey companies and all kinds of fun stories and stuff. It's actually super, super interesting if you're trying to get into whiskey at all, or you want to understand the process of either making whiskey, marketing whiskey, or just, how to talk about whiskey to your friends, even if you're not super serious about it as a career. It's a super interesting book and it's very well put together. And even the audiobook on Audible is really well narrated.
Yeah,
which is always
I've
nice.
Heard nothing but good things about her.
She's great. She was really fun to hang with.
We should link some stuff to where people can find that book.
I'll put links and stuff in the description of the video.
And look for the description, guys, if you're interested in any of these things, and we'll guide you there.
I have a copy of that. It's next on my list to read. I'm reading that. What's the other one? Tasting Whiskey.
Sure.
Once I finish that guy, that's Whiskey Distilled, I think, is next on my list. So
cool. Yeah, it's definitely worth a read. It's really well put together.
Nice.
My recommendation this week's going to be not at all related to whiskey.
How dare you,
you bastard! You're fired. You were already on thin ice from last week. You were so fired. Not really.
I think the people need just a little bit of a break and a little bit of craziness. So I'm going to recommend, and I'm a big anime head, an anime that I recently started watching, new this season, called I don't want to butcher the pronunciation, Hinomaru Sumo. It's a new anime. The second episode was just released a couple days ago. I have to get around to watching it. The first episode was absolutely fantastic. Really funny. Essentially, it's about this undersized middle school boy that's really into sumo wrestling. And when you think of sumo wrestlers, you have the big, monstrous, just mammoth dudes, right? And he's undersized, but typical kind of Japanese shonen, which is like young teen themed animes. You power through, you overcome your obstacles with heart, passion, and intensity, and it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. If you're into anime and need something new this season, 100%. From the first episode, it's definite.
I guess your time's up now.
My time is up. But
what a shit!
It's a definite watch. I highly recommend it. It was pretty funny, and I think that it's going to be. I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see the development throughout the series.
Right on.
But yeah,
very cool.
I think we're going to call it a day. Do you guys have a little bit of something in your glass?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So
So yeah, thank you guys. Episode 2 in the books. Actually, no, is this episode 1? Because
it called it 0 at first. So
technically, this is episode 2 in the feed, but whatever.
Let's call it 1.5, and then next week's
1.5.
Sure. I don't know. You know what? We'll be fine. Yeah, again, big thanks to everyone that's been joining us in the chat. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you again for all your comments. Keep on suggesting stuff. Like, subscribe. Let us know what
suggestions for what we should do next.
Hey Vito, before we go, what did you think about the Nova?
The Nova.
Oh man,
I'm gonna keep that for a future episode.
Secrets.
Sorry.
Tease.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Cliffhanger.
There's stuff in the works, but it is very good. We'll talk about it. Don't worry, we'll get there.
It'll happen.
But in the meantime, stay safe, stay classy, and slancha.
Slancha.
Slancha.